so I basically run like social media ads on Facebook, Instagram, Google, YouTube ads for like companies. Either they want leads, either they want more sales, they want more attention, customers, traffic, like the whole 9 yards. And then obviously on top of that, like we just build systems for them to scale on top of running all the traffic, because there's just more to it than just like running an ad. There's copy and landing pages and upsells and increasing their average order value and like all these different automations. Then there's a back end, SMS, email, all these different things that like we obviously help our clients with so that they can scale to 6, 7, and maybe even 8 figures. But to this very day, I've spent a little bit over $4 million on just ads across all clients and like multiple niches. And we generate our clients like, I believe, over $13 million, $14 million, something around there. And that's like leads, and then obviously Shopify stores, and just other value counts.
So you're hitting all those points for them. Whatever they need, you can make it work. It's like, where do we want to improve, and let's go with that.
Yeah, and like
nice,
obviously do like a lot of optimization too. So like on top of the ads, there's like their websites, their landing pages, their copy. Doing A/B split tests. Also, I do like sales training and consulting. So there's a lot of companies that like struggle to close people on the phone. So I basically will train them on that. Like if they're my client, then obviously like I'll upsell them that package or whatever the case may be. But yeah.
You show them a little bit of what they can do to really get it in there. Get those extra packages, or just step aside. Show them how it's done.
Yeah. Well, the thing too is like a lot of them, they're kind of like, a lot of people get like this mental block that they don't like to sell on the phone. Like they're afraid to like push people and be pushy, because like that means that they're not nice people, or like that goes against what they've been told or their morals to like push at people and get them to buy. But the problem with that is like you're selling in every part in your life. Like when you wake up in the morning, when you go out, when you are talking to somebody, you're in a relationship, you're at a new job, like you're always selling yourself anyway. It's just that people feel weird because they're basically like not manipulating, but like they're psychologically trying to reach in people's pockets, which is like, but if it's a value, then that's okay, because if you're giving people value, obviously there's a price with having people, getting value from you. It's just like, but that's a huge block, is like people are like afraid to deal with that stress and responsibility of like, oh, I have to sell somebody right now. So if I'm too pushy, like that makes me a X, Y, and Z. And it's like
that block is a big mistake, right? It's like setting yourself up for failure. Like you said, you got to approach it like ready to go, excited. You got to believe in the vision. If you're just like, man, I really don't want to knock on this door or call this guy, because I'm going to bother him. You're probably going to bother him because, like you said, if you're not providing that value that you want to provide for them. If you say, hey, this is a great deal, man, check this out. You want to pick this up. This is the next biggest thing, military grade internet, say things of that nature. And then bam, it's they once you can feel like I'm providing some sort of value, you feel a little bit better about giving that phone call, right? Instead of just being like, man, I'm gonna hit them with that negative energy that I have. You got to believe in the vision. Is that something you do with your team? You say, you got to believe, you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's more about like, obviously we're trying to meet the goals of the client too. And then those goals are then obviously brought back to us. Like, all right, like this client needs this done. So like, how are we going to do this in a fashion that meets like their KPIs and what they need to get done? Obviously there's some times where things just don't work out. Like I'm not perfect. There's times where we lose clients, and like, that's just the way it is. Sometimes it's because of things that we can't control. Sometimes it's things that we just simply messed up. But it's just like, that's just the name of the game. Like that's what being an agency owner is all about, is like, you have to just keep going until you find that right client base. And then there's obviously like framing the way you pick up clients and like what kind of clients you attract and whatever the case may be. So that's why like I put out the stuff on my Instagram and like I post a lot, and I kind of want to be that, like, cause right now in the agency niche, like no one's really posting like I am. Nobody's really posting 4 times a day. I have like probably the most followers out of anybody in the Facebook ad niche or in the online advertising niche. Cause there's a lot of people who do online advertising, but like all they do is post pictures of them in front of a Lambo or something. And it's like, there's no value in that. So I took the route of like IGTV, photo, IG reels, and then obviously like a quote, because I wanted to kind of like take the Gary Vee approach to my niche. Because I've always liked Gary Vee. I mean, some of the things he says are like I don't agree with as much. Like with the whole
Naturally.
yeah, with the whole like work 18 hours until you run your face off. Like that's kind of wrong. Because you could work a lot smarter than harder.
I feel
Um,
like a little bit of that is just to say because he's got that New York mentality, right? He's probably just putting
yeah,
it out
yeah.
there, but you got to get that right
And that's
city.
why I resonated with him, because I'm from New York, and I was like, all right, I get it. Like everyone's on their hustle, on their shit. Like you're walking through Manhattan all day long, going from meeting to meeting. Like you're working with Fortune 500 companies. Like you kind of like these people can't really relate to you, but they try to, because they're like it's like the hanging fruit. Like you're just like you're toying with them like a cat. He's basically just putting this string up, and like everybody else is like, oh, let me get that, and it's just like
Right.
I don't know. It's just a little bit unrelatable sometimes. Like in the beginning, I was like, all right, I gotta have patience and gratitude, and I gotta work 18 hours a day to get what I want. And like now, I'm like, oh shit, like I'm fucking tired. What the hell? What do I do? So
Right.
it's like you completely lose people once they actually have like that proven concept. But for the people who are just starting out, like yeah, it's about passion, but like sometimes you get sucked into the work so much that it's more about like fulfilling a service and just enjoying like the ego part of people coming to you then. Because like right now, like we do cold outreach, but not cold. Like we run ads to book on our calendar, and then I have a sales team who closes people. But we technically don't do any more cold outreach, cold emailing, cold messaging. We don't do any of that anymore. I get a lot of clients organically who just come to us. So it's like it's
And that could be
good.
because you're dependable. Because, like you said, back to you being the in the Facebook ads department, you got the most followers. That's because of your consistency running these ads. People can depend on you to be out there. Put whether it's a quote, whether it's anything, you're staying consistent, right? Is it that
Yeah.
consistency you would give that credit to
And like
a big
I'm
credit?
not, yeah, it's like I'm not the best Facebook guy. I know people who are very good, who are just as good as me or better. Like I know a lot of people in my niche who are really good. Some have better systems than me, and I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm not here to point fingers. Like some of them, quite frankly, I just don't really think they're good, but they just try to pose it that way, or they fake results. Because like some people are not smart enough to know how you can fake results in like Facebook when they show their ads manager. Some people just like literally will change all the numbers with inspect element and like all that shit. And you can tell. Some people are not smart enough to tell. I can tell. But I don't really want to do that to somebody. But it's like some people just like do that stuff to like get the wrong eyeballs. Um,
Right, right. They
I
just start
mean,
making the wrong moves because they don't have the wrong guidance.
yeah,
Can we talk a little bit about your beginnings with regards to your agency? At this
yeah,
point, like you said, it's past passion. Now it's about fulfilling the service because it's already in motion for you. You put those building blocks and it's fully blossomed in many ways. Can we talk a little bit about your beginnings, some of your struggles? What was it like? I'm sure a lot
yeah.
of people like you are like, man, I want to go ahead.
Yeah. So when I first started, I was in, well, okay. So I was originally in culinary school, and
You can be a chef.
yeah, I was trying to be a chef. Yeah. And then this guy came to the, like, I don't know what you would call it. I honestly haven't been to school in so long, like auditorium thingy. And he was talking, and
Right.
he was like, like this niche, you're gonna have to work, you know, 9 to 12 hours a day, and you're gonna have to make $15 an hour, and then like maybe when you're 35 you'll make six figures. And I looked around and I'm like, why is no one else concerned about what he just said? And I was like, damn, I hate this. So then I wind up like, and I barely went to class, and I have like a different kind of like story about that, but I didn't go to class. And like I basically cheated the school system, because when I was in school, I hated work, I hated projects, I hated like research papers, and I hated school. Like I didn't like it.
We
I
the
kind
guy I
of
was finding the right shortcut, the right thing to do to just let's get rid of this so we can focus on what's important.
Well, what I did was I basically hired people like from Pakistan and India to do my homework and like write my essays and take my online
Wow.
tests, because I hated it.
Wow.
I hated school. I hated it. I couldn't stand it. Like every time I'd get a paper, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna pay someone $20 to write this. And like the crazy part is once I got out of culinary school, like I dropped out of culinary school, and then I went back home living with my parents, and then I went to business school. And then from
Dropped
business
out of
school,
culinary, took business.
yeah, because when I was in culinary school, I was in my dorm room all day, and I remember my friend Mike Comboy. Me and him were like best friends in culinary school. We partied like every single day. That's all we did. We played. We partied. We played the Nintendo Wii, and then during the day, I was literally selling Pokemon cards on eBay. So like I was flipping Pokemon cards, and then like he wasn't going to class much either because he kind of like was like kind of like impressed and jealous by like what I was doing. He was
Right.
like, no, like I gotta ask my mom for $500 this month so I can like, pay these people on Fiverr to do the homework. And I was like, well, I was making the money from the Pokemon cards and then using that. So like,
Wow.
because my parents weren't well off. Like I never got money. That was if I asked my dad for $20, that was a hard ask. Like $20, that was like a shit.
You better
run. Yeah.
Right. This better be like a medical bill or something to keep you alive, man. Keep the post going. So, man, let's go back to even further back than that, because if you said you were paying people to take care of business for you, not business, but, take care of these other things so you could assess what you really needed to assess. How did you get to that point, man? Because that's pretty insane. That's that. So we got to go.
It's because I like
natural salesman,
but like I hated other people telling me what to do. And when I got out of high school, I then turned 18. So at that point, I was like, I can make my own decisions. So I was like, all right, in college, I'm not going to listen to anything anybody says. I hated listening to other people. I was like very against it. So I was like, like all these other people online, I was watching people at the time, like Gary Vee and shit. I was like these people are doing it. Like they're not listening to people. They're listening to their own gut. Like
yep.
So obviously at one point, I opened myself up to a mentor because I need to get into the space. So I was watching Gary Vee and all this shit, and he made this video one day about how like, social media marketing was like the easiest way for you to learn consumer behavior and like actually make a decent income. I was like, all right, so I'll look into this, and I started following guys like Ty Lopez and all this shit. And I started
Ty Lopez.
At the same time, I was making videos on like Instagram of like motivational shit. And I was wearing this company's t-shirts, and it was called Hustle Island. And I was messaging them a lot, asking like, hey, I can make these videos for your ads and you can run them. And like, I wasn't really very knowledgeable. I wasn't crazy smart because I didn't know there was more to ads than just making the video.
But you were a little bit early on, it sounds like, because everybody's doing that now. But this has had to have been a couple of years ago. So you were reaching out. You were already wearing the branded content of other people's. You already had something happening there.
Yeah. So I was doing that, and then like the guy's name was Greg Berry, and like he didn't really respond to me for like weeks. And then finally he lived in Connecticut, and since I was in New York, it was like an hour and 15-minute drive. So he was like, hey man, like meet me for lunch one day and come to this place. He sent me an address. So we met up one day, and we had lunch, and then like he was like, hey man, like I really like what you're doing with these videos. Like you should make these for us. I'll pay you. And like you can learn shit. And like I have this guy Troy who works with me. And Troy now lives with me. So we live in Tampa here in the house, and Troy lives with me here. And
nice.
Like, we've been friends for years. So that's how I kind of like met him, learned social media marketing, because when I got into Hustle Island, like Greg was actually building like a real company. Like we scaled that thing to like 11, what was it again? In 11 months, 24,000 paying customers and a little bit over $1 million. And like doing that, I learned like Facebook ads and funnels and like all this shit that I now use now for my clients. Cause I was like, hey, if we can do this, and I didn't really know much. I was like, hey, if I can do this like with this person, I can do this with other clients and build an agency around it. And that's when like the light went off. And then, when I was in my second and third year of college, that's when I was going hard on it. I was doing local business only at the time because I didn't really have a good enough of a presence to sell for online places that were doing like Shopify and whatnot. I was just doing local business. So barbershops, restaurants, all that kind of stuff. But the biggest thing though was looking back was those clients are like the worst. And the reason why is because they don't really like understand that what they have is actually scalable. But they're so small-minded looking back that they don't want to go for like another location. They don't want to expand because they like the comfortability of them just having that one thing and not having to risk it a second time, because the first time they built that barbershop, they spent $100,000 on the location. They had to go in debt for a loan, right? They don't want to do that a second time because that just puts them through more stress again. but that's what part of growing is. So like, and that's where I am right now, where I make good money, but now I have 3 more businesses that I'm starting this year that are going to be like, one is starting in the next 60 to 90 days. Second one starting, all 3 of them are starting within the next 60 to 90 days. But
Wow.
I had to put the money into it because I didn't want to have that same mental block that all those past local businesses had. And like,
Yep.
and like now I look back at some of the revenue that these local businesses are doing. And like when I was a kid, I thought that local businesses were like the rich of the rich. And I was like, oh, these businesses are killing it. Like having a business like this, they must be millionaires. No, they're not. And like now I look back and I'm like, wow, that barbershop made like 20, 30K a month. And this one, this business made 70. And I'm like, damn, like I literally do way more than these local businesses. And I sit in my bedroom and it's
Crazy.
like, damn. Like, and when I was younger, I thought that and I was like, all right, I got to keep going because I'm onto something. And then like from there, then I was like, getting into Facebook groups and like just doing cold outreach and getting referrals from clients. And then I was posting a little bit on social media, not a crazy amount like I am now. And then
How are you managing all that? Like you said, you weren't posting as much, but at that time it's like wildfire, right? You're just consuming, you're putting out, there's a lot of output, there's a lot of input. How are you managing everything? Your sleep, your personal life, your social life, relationships? Like was
that was non-existent, man. So like social life was non-existent.
Because you said you were doing a little bit of partying with so
Yeah,
that twirled off.
that was in culinary school. So like that one year, I was basically just going haywire. Like I was just like drinking and like, dude, I was partying at house parties, jumping off houses into pools. Like I was a fucking rebel. And like from there, I was just like, sometimes even like naked. Like I was a fucking crazy ass kid.
Backflipping off the pole.
And like then I went back to New York and like I still went out. Like I still had a social life, but I was never like, some kids, they're going out Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then they have their Sunday, like they go to a winery or they're playing football at the beach with their friends. Like that never existed. It was Friday nights from 9 to 11 p.m. going home, Saturday nights from 9 to 11 p.m. and going home. And those were my only really nights of social life at all.
Right.
And then Sundays were like, all right, catch up on work, delegate the college shit to these VAs that I don't want to do this college work, so I got to set them up and then it was, let's maybe, set some plans for the week, reach out to this client, reach out to this prospect, all these different local businesses, or like have a follow-up call with this person. And yeah, I mean, that was basically it. And then, and then over time, man, I was just getting a lot of rapport and then,
got better. You just get better over time.
Yeah, and then I was building cash, so I was able to spend money on like getting press and like, getting growth and content. And then like obviously when I was done with college, I had enough money to move out. And then I winded
How did you not spend all your money on the Mercedes or the BMW? A lot of people invest in the materialistic things versus investing in the business. You got 3 new businesses coming out. So it sounds like you're someone who can really reinvest and just keep that motion going.
It's because like I was very like, and this is because my dad was frugal with money and I kind of like got that thing, but like now I'm a lot better at it because like when I was just starting out, I wanted to save every penny, which I understood because like I was living in New York, man. It's not cheap to live in New York. So I was like, if I go out for like a beer, like that's probably $15 and then an Uber 20. And then like, you're going out to dinner. That's another $30-$40.
Oh yeah.
And like when you look at by the end and then a bus, a train, like going out one night was like easily $125 easily.
And then that time, not to mention time is money too.
Yeah, and then like I was doing that Friday and Saturday night, so I spent like $200 a week just going out. And I was like, dude, this
party life ain't cheap.
Yeah, like this is so stupid. And
got over it.
Yeah, I just got over it, and like now, yeah, I go out, but now the money, like I don't care about spending $200 like on a weekend. Like that doesn't really matter to me anymore. So it's like back then though, like it was a lot. For me to spend that. And I was like, but I felt like it was my duty to do it because it was like, all right, my social life is going to keep me sane. Like, this is what I need. But then, I don't know, it's just like over time, I just started to like dislike going out because I started to see and get more self-aware too. Like when you're in business, like you just get so self-aware about shit where like you're always thinking about the next move, you're thinking about that next thing. And like just going out and seeing how some of these people act, I'm like, wow, like I really am thankful that I stopped being that rowdy person, because like they're like some of these women, they just go out like half naked and they just literally act ridiculous. They get fucking drunk, they're falling on the floor, and I'm like, damn, like I'm happy that I didn't keep doing that.
Right.
And,
that's a whole world. That's a whole world and atmosphere and culture that you want to just.
Well, most people get sucked into it, man, because it's like they need to feel a part of something. Like they need to be a part of something that other people are doing. Like, oh, they're going out, so we got to go out. And it's like, no, fuck that. I don't want to do that if I don't want to. Like, why do that?
Why would you want to do that? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well said, Jason.
Yeah, and then like Orlando, and then I moved to Orlando, and then like I basically just like I went hard. Like Orlando, I was just grinding. Like I was doing the 18-hour days because I had to pay bills then. Like before then, yeah, I was helping my parents out a little bit because I had a little bit of money, but I wasn't spending as much as I was when I was in Orlando. Like I was actually paying for like my own groceries, like doctor bills, cleanings, fucking
adult stuff,
like, everything, man. Like the rent and like shoes. Like, obviously, I bought my shoes before, but like I'm just like naming shit.
Everything up and down the list.
Yeah, like there was nothing that my parents were covering me anymore for. And like obviously when I was in New York, I wasn't like buying groceries. Like my mom would do that. That was like the mom thing to do. I wasn't doing that.
Jason, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you, man. I'd love to get you on again in the show. But for now, let's follow up with you again and see what happened. You know, our audience is going to love to hear this and just get a little bit of flavor from you, and just hearing what you have said. It's real inspirational. You know, you made it happen for yourself. You got your social media agency. You have 3 other businesses coming out soon. So you're making moves left and right, man. So let's get you on again in the future, man. I appreciate you for your time.
Yeah, of course, Troy. Thank you. I really appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon, man.
All right. Sounds good to me, Jason.
Mm-hmm.